Part 21. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 202. It is said that before a person dies, a revolving door appears in his mind. Tang Xian felt this way at this time. She couldn't help but think back to her previous encounters. The three of them are all 2-star dungeon players. They entered this dungeon to find supernatural props and increase their strength. When passing by an old house, they heard a man and a woman whispering inside the house, seeming to say that they were going to try again at night to throw someone into the well and drown them. And that person turned out to be their daughter. Just because of a consanguineous marriage, the girl will be born with a deformity. He was ridiculed by the people in the village as a freak. Even the parents were disgraced, so they planned to drown their daughter. And it seems this isn't the first time. Just when a few people were lamenting that ghosts care about worldly opinions just like humans, there was movement in the well. And the three of them were also discovered by the couple. Fortunately, the opponent's terror level was not high. With the help of supernatural props, they were able to temporarily suppress the pair of ghosts. But after that, the strange noise in the well became louder and louder, and a deformed little girl with only the upper body crawled out and launched a terrifying supernatural attack on them. While escaping, one of the companions was scratched on the leg. That's how things turned out. At the moment, the partner whose leg was scratched was cursed by a supernatural being and was unable to resist. Another partner also abandoned them. It was probably only a blink of an eye before she was caught up. As expected. Next moment, a gust of wind blew by. It's a ghost. It's the green-clothed half-length ghost. Just when they were ready to die, the little girl's laughter suddenly faded away. The two women turned their heads in shock. They found that the other party had already passed them and caught up with the tall man at a terrifying speed. He, little brother, aren't we playing a game? Why are you running so fast? If you run too fast, it won't be fun. The little girl put her head to the man's ear and spoke gloomily. Laugh. There was a chilling penetrating sound. Blood spurted out, and a small hand penetrated the man's back. The man kept groping for it, and finally took out a heart. Hold it in the air and let the blood drip. The little girl grinned maliciously. It turns out that those who abandon you also have warm hearts. I thought your hearts were as cold as the ice in the deepest part of the well. You. The man turned back stiffly. He watched in horror as his heart was thrown to the ground by the little girl. The whole person fell to the ground with a crash. Pupils widened. He never figured out until his death why he was the first to die despite running in the opposite direction. After all, the fierce ghost had already approached the other two women at that time. Hear this. The two women froze on the spot. Just when he was about to say something, the little girl turned around and looked towards the two of them, with a meaningful smile on her face. Where are you? When will you abandon each other? 5 minutes, you only have 5 minutes to think about it. If you don't make a choice, then I will kill both of you. Finished. The little girl's body faded into darkness. The sound continued to resound in all directions. The two women felt a chill in their hearts. Ghosts are ghosts after all, and the reason why they killed the man first was just because the man triggered the ghost's killing pattern first. And this rule is probably to abandon others in front of her. Walk. Continue to walk to happy B\U0026B, we still have hope. Tang Xian picked up her companion on her back alone, gritted her teeth and continued moving forward. But he ran some distance. The little girl suddenly appeared in front again, lying on the ground, shouting with blood on her face, "Give up." She gritted her teeth, changed direction and continued running. There was deep despair in his eyes. She naturally understood that this evil ghost was playing tricks on them, waiting for them to trigger the killing pattern. But she couldn't stop. First, Happy B backslash U0026B is getting closer and closer. Secondly, stopping means breaking the rules of the ghost. The ghost has the rules of killing and will instinctively abide by this. But if it is pressed, the ghost can also attack. Most of the fierce ghosts above King II level have this ability. She just ran as fast as she could. Tang Xin's vision gradually blurred due to the influence of the evil ghost and the exhaustion from exhaustion. In a trance, she seemed to see a figure holding a sickle in front of her and rushed over quickly. Wrong. There really is a man with a sickle. Tang Xin's eyes widened suddenly. The opponent was wearing a white trench coat, with a blood-stained ghost rope wrapped around his wrist, and in his hand was a giant scythe with surging yin qi and full of evil energy. Just looking at it will make you feel cold all over your body. Is he from Daxialanke? The woman behind Tang Xin said in surprise. That's right. In the horror world, there is no one else who can save people except Daxialanke. Tang Xin also showed a happy expression. Step forward. Reach out. This. The words have not yet been spoken. Shen Jian passed by them and walked towards the deformed little girl with an excited expression. The smiles on the two women's faces froze. Then I heard the man laugh strangely. Little sister, are you looking for someone to play with you? Come here, uncle is best at dealing with children. Uncle, I love playing with children like you the most. Listen to these horrifying words. Look at the other party's excited expression and the giant scythe 4 times her size. Little girl. She was silent for a moment. Without hesitation, he turned around and ran. Blame sorghum and all that, it's the most annoying thing. Shen Jian was slightly startled. Chased him. He shouted, I love you, walking alone in a dark alley. The little girl paused for a moment, as if there was an inexplicable magic that attracted her, but looking at the strange man behind her, she still ran away without looking back. Seeing that the primary school student couldn't keep the little girl even with the ultimate secret code, Shen Jian's face suddenly darkened, and his tone became sinister. If you are so naughty, uncle will. Say it. Shen Jian sped up and caught up. The two women were left watching in confusion. Looking at the figure leaving the dust, the two of them froze on the spot. Sister Tang, he should be a player. Probably. Then is he from Daxialanke? Probably, not. Thinking of the way the other party looked excited when meeting a fierce ghost and said perverted quotes, it was hard for her to imagine that the other party would be a member of Daxialanke. Not long after, Instructor Gu and some others also caught up. After seeing two players with unfamiliar faces, he looked solemn. There is indeed something strange about this copy. Where is Yama? He ran too fast. Have you ever seen a young man wearing a white windbreaker? Instructor Gu glanced at the scene. There is a male body in the distance. The heart was ripped out and the lower half of the body was missing. Among the two women in front of them, one had black birthmarks on her legs, which seemed to have been cursed by a ghost. One was pale, a little weak, and had no obvious trauma. He asked immediately. White windbreaker. That pervert is really a Daxialanke. The woman on the back muttered. Instructor Gu. He immediately distanced himself from the woman, as if we were still separated from each other, and said businesslike, he is not from Daxialanke, but he is a strong supporter of Daxialanke. I advise you to be careful what you say in the future. Otherwise it's easy to get beaten. Lame woman. At this time, a corner building in the distance. Suddenly, a little girl screamed hysterically. The two women shuddered. Then, they heard the conversation among the members of the Great Xiaolonke next to them. You're going into a beating so quickly. It seems that this fierce ghost has no attraction to Lord Yama. That's right. Normally, you would tease the other person until he goes crazy. It's only been less than a minute. I guess this ghost has nothing to play with. This is too inferior. You are not even qualified to be tricked by Lord Yama. Tang Xin? What are you guys saying? It's a serious ghost attack, but why do you guys treat it like it's worthless? Ahem, pay attention to the impact. Instructor Gu smiled awkwardly. Because he was thinking the same thing just now. No, this section also needs to be pinched. Wait, if I pinch it further, there will be no useful information. This is considered a normal exorcism, and it will be fine if it is released soon. Shenjian is back. How's the ghost doing? Instructor Gu asked. In fact, the result was already obvious, he just wanted to relieve the embarrassment. Shenjian paused. A brand new bag was revealed on the waist. A head lay there. He felt a little pity. This terrifying ghost has reached the level of Xingyi. It is not complete and only has one valuable head. Think about it. Shenjian said. The quality is pretty good. Instructor Gu. No. I didn't want to see this. No. This damn thing still needs to be pinched. Finish everything. Everyone return to Happy B /U0026B. Tang Xin revealed a crucial piece of news. Special ghost hunting contest. The ancient instructor looked solemn. Yes, this dungeon is a trap set by Sujia village. This village is using the dungeon invitations to let more humans step in. They are only waiting for the day of the first 7 funerals to hold a grand hunting ceremony. Tang Xin explained. This hunting folk custom is initiated by the village chief's family. At that time, all humans will become prey in this village for the ghosts to hunt. The ghost that kills the most humans will become the king of the hunt. Everyone present fell silent. Throats rolled one by one. Fang Yuan's face turned pale and his figure swayed. There are more than 200 households in Sujia village, and the total number of people is around 500. Even if only half of them participate, there are more than 200 ghosts. How can we survive? There are 200 fierce ghosts. Even if they stand in front of them one by one, it is impossible for the players to finish them off. After all, whether you use the power of a ghost or use supernatural props, you will be eroded by the supernatural. Not to mention 200, for 1-star and 2-star players, using supernatural props several times in a row will cause abnormalities in themselves. Not to mention, this is a hunting contest. Fierce ghosts will attack. Instructor Gu regained his composure after a brief period of fright. Thriller games will not give a fatal answer. Even if it is a trap, there will be a way to clear the level in the trap. I think this way of survival should be related to side tasks. Everyone was stunned. He immediately remembered the side mission they had triggered, to let no less than 4 villagers know him, and not to reveal his identity as a stranger. Tang Xin nodded, that's true, but the risk of this way of survival is also very high, because according to our understanding, the hunting competition is not limited to players. On that day, it was also a time to resolve conflicts within the village. We players, just a great addition to this game. By the way, where is the player who saved us? With the ease with which he dealt with the Xingyi level ghost, he should be a 3-star or even 4-star player. With him here, we will have an extra chance of survival. Where has he gone? He was here just now. Tang Xin said with some doubts. After hearing such life and death news, shouldn't we discuss countermeasures with them? Why did you leave? Hear this. Instructor Gu was also smiling bitterly in his heart. That is a city god from the underworld, the only manifested god in the Yang world so far. Who can command him? If the other party didn't want to hear it, there was nothing he could do. But when the words came to his lips, Instructor Gu said, he has more important things to do. We will gather the players together, and he will take action when the time comes. Take action. Tang Xin was confused. Shouldn't it be hiding? Yes, he will take action. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 203. Shenjian walked out of the courtyard. What are you thinking about in your heart? Hunting folk culture, river god festival, ghost town. There are so many things that can be explored in Sujia village. Especially the clues about the ghost town made Shenjian even more excited. Even the temptation of the river god festival is not that great anymore. After all, compared to the thousands of ghosts in the ghost city, even a ghost king level river god is far behind in this regard. You must know that the ghosts who can survive in the ghost city are at least half step red, and the red level ghosts are everywhere. Even the ghost king is not that rare in this kind of ghost city where ghosts are everywhere. If you can take a trip to the ghost town, even if you can't unlock the 18th level of the 18th level of hell, it's almost the same. Take advantage of this opportunity. Shenjian returned to Happy B /U0026B. From what the ghost aunt said, it was now the 4th day of the first 7 days, not the first day as they thought. This also supports Tang Xian's remarks. She was the first batch of players to enter the first 7 dungeons. There are still a few days left. Shenjian planned to catch a few more ghosts. Feel the way as you go. Don't accidentally miss a few, that would be bad. 3 days later. It's Chinese New Year. Thinking. A hoarse, dry voice sounded that made one's hair stand on end. Human, I finally got my head back, you're dead. The screams were still far away at first, but they soon came closer. In less than 3 seconds, the body of a headless old lady holding her head rushed into the weeds next to her. Come over. The tone was extremely vicious. What? Not good. Be careful, it's a ghost attack. The faces of Instructor Gu and other members of Daxia Longke changed greatly. They all know this fierce ghost. It's the old ghost whose head was stolen by Lord Yama. When Tang Xian and the other 2 women came out to inquire, their faces suddenly turned pale. The aura on this fierce ghost is very terrifying. It was so much more powerful than the previous deformed little girl that it made their hearts spin. That's, half step in red. Tang Xian cried out in horror. How could Daxia Longke provoke such a powerful ghost? Half step in red, that is a ghost that only the top 3-star players can parry. And depending on the specificity of the supernatural, various weird abilities will be derived. Samsung players are not safe against such level of ghosts. Only players with 4 stars or above can say that they can confidently deal with ghosts below the red level. See this. Shenjian was slightly startled. A red light flashed on his body. When he reappeared, he had another head in his hand. That was the head of this fierce ghost. Old man, look at what this is. A big, round, bloody head. Is this your head? Old woman? Hear this. She waved her hand subconsciously. I found that I was holding a big stone in my hand. And her head was stolen by this damn human being. My head, give me my head back. The old woman screamed sharply. The crazy voice was filled with a hint of urgency. This is my head, give it back to me quickly, give it back to me quickly. She used all 4 limbs together and crawled on the ground like a monster. She was so fast that she suddenly crawled towards Shenjian. Shenjian smiled. Throw your head high in the air. A volley shot. His head drew a long parabola and flew into the distance. Old man, look at it. Your head is flying so high. It won't break when you fall. Shenjian yin yang deo. The headless old lady froze in place. She just took her head back from the guy who pulled her crotch back not long ago, and she still hadn't covered her head, and now she didn't? Half a second later. She burst into a heart-wrenching roar, my head, my head. She didn't care about the group of humans and crawled faster, chasing her own head. Saw this scene. Everyone present opened their mouths. Especially the two girls, Tang Xian, were even more confused at this time. A half-step red-clothed fierce ghost was just sent away. It seemed that they even felt a little bit of sympathy for this evil ghost. This man is really a dog. They seemed to finally understand the meaning of what Daxialonke said back then. Really? A deformed little girl has no right to be played with. After all, even half a step in red clothes is so miserable, but how on earth did he do it? Even if you are a 4-star player, if you dare to play with a ghost like this, you will have an accident. Basically no one dares to die like this. Yamluo, are you just going to let this evil ghost continue to attack? If she attacks at night, the consequences will be unimaginable. The ancient instructor said with a palpitating expression. That was a half-step red-clothed fierce ghost that even he couldn't match. If he was really clever and launched another attack at night, Daxialonke would definitely suffer heavy casualties. He is old and cannot stand this kind of torture. She'll be back. Shen Jian said casually. Instructor Gu? What do you think this is? Shen Jian took out a head from the bag. It was the old man's head. Everyone was stunned. Stunned in place. They clearly saw Shen Jian kicking his head out. Why did it appear in the bag again? Did you use Ghost Realm? Instructor Gu thought for a while and revealed the key. Shen Jian nodded. At this moment, this fierce ghost has fully activated half-step of red-coded level strength and is ready to be captured. How could he possibly do such a thing as letting a ghost return to the mountain? Less than a few minutes. The miserable wailing sounded again. Damn human, give me my head back. The old woman stared at Shen Jian bitterly. This time, she would never be fooled. She had already sensed that her head was in the bag around this human's waist. Shen Jian stepped forward. Smiling slightly, congratulations, you finally discovered something was wrong. You want your head, right? I'll give it back to you right now. You uneducated old man, did you lose this gold head, or this silver head? Or this dead man's head? Said. Shen Jian took out 3 heads at once. Headless old lady? She looked dumbfounded. The golden head refers to the head of a ghost king. The silver head is the head of a red-clad fierce ghost. The dead head refers to her own head. Who? The headless old man's breathing became heavier. The headless body stared intently at the golden head. If the head of a ghost king level ghost can be pieced together on her body, she will directly advance to the top red code level. That silver head is not bad either. Although it is only the red code level, it can also increase her terror level to the red code level. And this head has a beautiful appearance. If it could be placed on her head, wouldn't she become a beautiful ghost? Finally, there is her own head. One word. Ugly. Not only is he half-stepped in red, but his head is also rotten. Against the background of the other 2 heads, it looks even more unusual. She couldn't even look straight into her own head. But finally, she still faced her desires. He said categorically, what I lost was this dead head. Shen Jian's expression did not change at all. Smiled again, ah, you are such an honest old man, so I will give you all 3 heads. Headless old lady. Is there really such a good thing in the world? Before the smile bloomed on her face, the next moment, Shen Jian's voice sounded faintly. You must put these 3 heads on your head. From today on, you will no longer be called the headless ghost, but the 3-headed ghost from hell. Headless old lady? Looking at Shen Jian approaching step by step. She was dumbfounded. Damn it! You can't afford it as a human, right? Then if I choose a gold head or a silver head, wouldn't it mean that you don't even have to make excuses? No, I don't want a head. I don't have a head to begin with. Ah. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 204. Finally. Headless old lady. Cause of death, wound infection caused by foreign body grafting, as well as the unsuitability of a few organs. A half-step redcoat level fierce ghost is still too fragile to successfully control a ghost king level and a redcoat level head. Greed is enough to make a snake swallow an elephant. Saw this scene. Everyone present opened their mouths. There were several big characters written all over his face. Is there such an operation? I have seen the Holy Mother a lot, but today I saw the living king of hell. A breath of fresh air in thriller games, a positive player. Fang Yuan saw this. Without hesitation, he praised. And hear his words. Tang Xian and the two girls twitched their lips at the same time. Brother, you are so young, why are you blind? Didn't you see how he treated the deformed little girl and the headless old lady? None of the living kings of hell are so outrageous. Thunder tactics reveal the heart of a bodhisattva. Fang Yuan shook his head at this time, looking like you didn't understand. Although Master Yama has been more interesting along the way, every time he encounters a ghost, he is the first one to rush forward. I can feel his concern for us players, and he plays tricks on the ghost just to get rid of the ghost. The hatred is completely transferred to him, so as to better protect us. Those who work for others should not be allowed to die in the wind and snow. Those who light a lamp for the world must not let it sink into the mud. Although my strength is low, I will never allow the world to misunderstand him. Hear this. The two women were shocked. Instructor Gu also twitched the corner of his mouth. With such a high level of thinking and such a structure, it would be a waste if I didn't become the director of the military supplies department. I've given up my position as the instructor of the Magic City to you, okay? But what Fang Yuan said is not unreasonable. Although Yama looks very bad, even the lonely old people are playing tricks on him, and sometimes he is cruel and frightening in his treatment of evil spirits. But along the way, they followed this man and felt really safe. Once someone encounters a ghost, he doesn't even have a chance to take action, so he rushes over as fast as possible. That attention, that concern, that attentiveness. A certain moment. They even feel that they are not following a player, but an old father who is worried. There is a sense of déjà vu. You guys wait here, don't move around, I'm going to play tricks. Think of this. Instructor Gu felt ashamed of his previous thoughts. Why did he think that Yan Luo rushed forward immediately? Because he was afraid that they would snatch the monsters. Damn me. Instructor, do you want to cut off this paragraph? This is more bloody than the previous paragraphs, and it will probably not pass the trial. The cameraman asked quietly. Keep it, must keep it. Instructor Gu swallowed back the word pinch off that he just blurted out, and said firmly. Even if it doesn't go through trial, we still have to keep it internally. This video is of great significance. We can't let his hard work go to waste. Cameraman. Understood. He fully understood what the leader meant. Silently he guided the first few paragraphs back. The pixels are also adjusted to the highest level to ensure that everyone can be immersed in the scene and feel the atmosphere of the scene in the most intuitive way. Do it all. Under the leadership of Fang Yuan, Shen Jian met many new friends. This time, he resisted the urge to sack. Changed to a more friendly exchange. Side mission, leave your own traces in Sujia village, completed. Task conditions, no less than 4 villagers, 25 fourths. Note, this task can still be completed and will be incorporated into the game settlement interface. Current completion level, 5%. Look at the tips above. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Only after meeting 25 villagers can the 5% completion level be unlocked. Even if this task is placed in a 3-star dungeon, it is still the top one. Ordinary players may not be able to complete it until the end of the first 7 days. However, even so, the task completion rate is not 1%. He could only passively participate in the ghost hunting competition on the day of the 7th funeral. The sources behind high-level dungeons are not simple. Shen Jian sighed. The source ghost behind Sujia village is undoubtedly the village chief. Whether it is the origin of hunting folk culture or the reopening of hunting, one can see the prestige of the village chief and his family in Sujia village. If such a fierce ghost is packed up, it can still stand up to several ordinary red-clothed fierce ghosts. Shen Jian showed a trace of emotion. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 205. Time flies. The night of the funeral. Instructor Gu and his group had stopped in front of an old house. Everyone has a yellow talisman attached to them, used to cover up the breath of living people. According to the information they had learned in the past few days, the person buried was the child of the village chief's family. And the old house in front of them was the village chief's home. Shen Jian looked over. Under the faint moonlight, an ancient house with red walls and large tiles that retained some of the ancient city wall style came into their sight. The surrounding seems very quiet. But it also revealed a hint of weirdness. There are so many evil ghosts coming in and out. There was no sadness on every face, only a sense of excitement that the killing feast was about to begin. The ancient instructor looked solemn. The first 7 nights are the most dangerous time for the dungeon. If getting to know the villagers is a normal 3-star dungeon difficulty, then the hunting folk customs in front of you are completely semi-4-star dungeons. No, it should be said it's a 4-star copy. Hear this. The crowd suddenly panicked. They may not be able to touch a 4-star copy in their lifetime. That is an area that only city leader level ghost masters can control. If ordinary people enter, they will be torn to pieces by the evil ghosts in an instant. Why are you panicking? Lord Yama has led us to get to know many villagers in the past few days. Everyone has now completed side tasks and met no less than 5 villagers. There are also yellow talismans posted on them. As long as you don't seek death and actively provoke evil ghosts, normally it's fine. Fang Yuan said calmly. Everyone looked strange. Is that called acquaintance? Who has ever seen someone chasing someone with a stick and forcing them to get to know each other? Thinking. Everyone has already entered the old house. There is a courtyard as you enter. The doors of the row of rooms on the left are closed, and there are a lot of wood placed outside. The windows of several rooms on the right are broken. It can be seen from the furnishings inside that this place has been abandoned. There is a well in front of the yard, and a tall tree is planted next to it. Waves of yin energy hit. The ancient instructor's face was solemn. Plant a tree in the front yard and a willow tree in the backyard. There is a well next to the tree. The house has 2 canals and 2 canals. It is located south to north. This is a sign of great misfortune. It is an ancient ritual to summon spirits and raise ghosts. I've heard similar statements from my hometown. Tang Xin also spoke at this time. If there is shame in front of the door, hundreds of ghosts will walk at night. If you add a well, all ghosts will return to their nests. Hear this. Shen Jian was excited. Listen, 100 ghosts walk at night, and all ghosts return home. What does this mean? It means that ghosts are celebrating the festival, and he is also celebrating the new year. A year of good harvest. Shen Jian quickened his pace. Came to the hall of the ancient house. The 2 huge door pillars were covered with white silk, and in the hall, there was a vermilion coffin. Uneven sizes and lengths. This is the place where sacrifices are made. On a table in front of the hall, there was a pile of funeral supplies and incense candles were lit. There are 3 incense sticks among them. The strange thing is that 2 of the incense sticks seem to have been cut off, and they are only half as long as the middle one. 2 short and 1 long, this is a very unlucky way to light incense. The knowledgeable ancient instructor spoke again. Shen Jian nodded. He has also heard of this method of lighting incense. People are afraid of 3 long and 2 short, and fragrance is afraid of 2 short and 1 long. This kind of cigarette is specially ordered for Li Gui. 2 short and 1 long incense sticks burned continuously, and the smoke filled the air. Although it was a hall with ventilation on 3 sides, everyone felt an indescribable feeling of stuffiness. His breathing became heavier, and a feeling of depression emerged unconsciously in his heart. It seems that if these incense are allowed to burn any longer, something very bad will happen. Shen Jian looked around. It was discovered that the village chief and his family were not there at all. It is said to be the first 7 funerals, but it gives the impression that it is not taken seriously and is just to start the hunting folk custom. At this time, Shen Jian stared at the gongta several times. Think about it. I have a plan in mind. He strode away. Yamluo, don't be impulsive. The ancient instructor's heart suddenly thumped. In this situation, wouldn't this great master also have a bad taste? He hurriedly said, 2 short and 1 long incense cannot be extinguished easily, it will cause big problems. The contents in those coffins are probably the people involved in this funeral. The incense is a tribute. Once it is extinguished, this evil ghost will probably wake up. Yeah, don't be impulsive. The others were also worried. I just felt a little nervous. If the destruction of this place is discovered, they will be chased and killed even if they cover up their living presence. But Shen Jian ignored it. Arrive in front of the tribute platform. He looked disgusted and said, it's too long and short, it's too uncomfortable. Finished. Shen Jian pinched off the middle one. He also blew air through his mouth to speed up the burning of some incense. To ensure the most precise fine-tuning of the lengths of the 3 incense sticks. Finally, the 3 incense sticks are level. Even if obsessive-compulsive disorder patient number 2 from Huanquan Hospital comes here, he can't find anything wrong with him. This operation. Everyone behind him was stunned. Is Shen Jian suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder? I go. This is too weird. Since when do paranormal phenomena have to obey other people's compulsions? Is this because the obsessive-compulsive disorder is too severe, or because you don't take evil spirits seriously enough? Even 4-star players only have the ability to compete with the red-clothed ghosts, but they are not able to defeat the red-clothed ghosts for sure. There may or may not be many red-clothed level ghosts in Sujia village right now, but there are definitely more than 1 or 2. Even the top 4-star players would not dare to risk their lives in this ghost hunting competition, as if they were hoping for a ghost to come, right? At this time, Shen Jian turned his head. He looked at the coffin in front of the tribute platform again. The coffin seems to be a finished product that was rushed out in a short period of time and is uneven. Also of varying lengths. Tisk, you loser. How comfortable is it to sleep in a coffin like this? Instead of sleeping in an unsuitable state like this, why not let me trim it for you? Hear this. Everyone's eyes widened. It seems that he has already thought about what will happen next. Yamluo, no. Instructor Gu shouted hurriedly. There is still room for the incense matter, but destroying someone else's coffin for burial is definitely an undying hatred. Shen Jian became even more excited. He took out the ghost sickle and trimmed the coffin. Everyone was shocked and undecided at first, and then became deeply confused. Because there were no traces of the evil ghost inside the coffin. This turned out to be an empty coffin. Everyone was stunned. This coffin obviously exudes a strong yin energy, and one can tell at a glance that a very scary ghost has just been buried, but why is this an empty coffin? How is this going? Could it be that this so-called funeral was fake from beginning to end? What is the other party's purpose? Everyone looked at each other. They all thought of an answer. Hunting folklore. Hunting, ghosts. The real purpose of the village chief and his family is to use the funeral to reopen the hunting folk culture in order to achieve some ulterior purpose. It seems that they have come into contact with the truth behind this first 7. At this time, a draft blew through the hall. Several people were so excited that they shivered. After being stunned for a second, Instructor Gu was the first to react. No. Watch your back. Everyone reacted quickly. Turn around immediately. The scene in front of them made their faces darken. In the previous yard, at some point, a little boy of 7 or 8 years old stood there. The little boy was wearing a birthday suit that would only be worn when a coffin is buried, with a sinister smile on his face. Uncles and sisters, why are you destroying other people's coffins? You want to be buried with me. It hurts so much. I was buried in a coffin and sent underground. I couldn't scream. My heart was also taken out to prevent me from leaving. What do you think I should do? The little boy pursed his lips and seemed to be smiling, but that smile was more terrifying than crying. Said. The aura of the little boy changed. Yin qi surges. The body showed an abnormal death state. Under the longevity clothes, the place of a heart is empty. Uncle and sister, have you ever seen my heart? The little boy spoke again. Make a crisp and tender sound. If you don't look at the person and just listen to the voice, you will picture a little Shota with Kazilan's big eyes blinking in your mind. However, at this moment, everyone's face turned pale. Someone even screamed. Red, a red-clad fierce ghost. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 206. Uncle, have you seen my heart? My heart is gone. The little boy spoke. It makes a crisp and childish voice, and anyone who hears it will think that this is a very cute child, staring at Kazilan's big eyes, as if begging for a lollipop. But at this time, everyone present was dead. Red. The little boy in front of him was clearly a red-clad fierce ghost. At the same time, he was also the dead in the first 7 funerals. Everyone panicked. Even the ancient instructor is no exception. He is the instructor of the Magic City, so he is naturally deeply impressed by players of the level of the city leader. He has personally witnessed an A-level supernatural incident that wreaked havoc in the Magic City and was imprisoned by the city leader within 10 minutes. However, when he asked if the other party had the ability to suppress the red-coded level ghosts on his own, the city manager told him that unless he inherited a Ghost King level supernatural power, no matter how powerful a 4-star player was, he could only compete. And could not be suppressed, let alone imprisoned or even completely let the evil spirit crash. And what was in front of them now was a fierce ghost of this level. Just then, Shen Jian, who was still in the Gongta, stepped out without knowing when. Blocked in front of all players. This moment, even the 2 girls Tang Xian, who were not familiar with Shen Jian, looked shocked. This back view. Really like Dad. In times of crisis, you can protect them from wind and rain. Fang Yuan is right. Shen Jian is indeed a breath of fresh air in horror games and the light of humanity. Even if a red-clothed level ghost comes face to face, he will not hesitate to stand in front of others and face the most terrifying attack from the ghost. This is a noble person. Until Shen Jian walked out with excitement on his face and said the same scary words. Uncle has never seen your heart. Do you think this is a good idea? Tell your uncle what your heart looks like, and then leave your contact information. When I get a similar heart next time, I can let you pick it up. Click. Everyone just felt like something was broken inside. Noble, crossed out. Little boy. A dull moment flashed across his little head. Dig. It seems that I should be the one to use this term. No need to bother, uncle, isn't your heart just right? Soon. The little boy smiled sinisterly again. While talking, he walked towards the side step by step. Under the longevity clothes, a blood hole became increasingly clear, dripping with blood, and the more you looked at it, the more your scalp felt numb. Faintly, they even had the urge to take out their hearts and fill the little boy's wounds. You kid, you are wrong. I had my heart replaced not long ago. People who meet me say that I have no conscience and no heart. Speaking of which, you just lack a heart. I not only lack a heart, but also have a heartless heart. The heart is gone, but the lungs are missing. Speaking of which, Shen Jian began to look at the little boy in turn, his eyes becoming more and more dangerous. Kid, have you ever seen my lungs? Little boy. His steps faltered. Shen Jian was quite confused by his anti-customer behavior. He froze on the spot. Kid, do you have lungs? My lungs are gone. Shen Jian spoke again. Become more proactive. The same footsteps are approaching. The little boy stood there, opened his mouth, but stopped talking. You said all my words, what did I say? Think about it. He forcibly ended the previous topic and said in a deep voice, the incense in front of you is my tribute, the coffin is my bed, this is my home, and you are rushing into my home to cause destruction. While talking, the cold resentment in him continued to rise. It wasn't me. Shen Jian denied it. We heard the noise and rushed over to check the situation. The man in black who destroyed your home has already ran over there. It's a pity. If you had caught up just now, you might have been able to catch up. Little boy. You bitch, your face doesn't turn red when you lie, and your heart doesn't beat. His momentum faltered. If he hadn't witnessed all this with his own eyes, he might have believed the other party's lies. But fortunately, the man in black seems to be here to steal the tribute food. Your home is still the same. Shen Jian spoke again at this time. The little boy was stunned for a moment. Then looked sideways. 3 incense sticks burned together, and a long piece fell off the table. The scarlet coffin in front of the tribute platform was neatly trimmed. Split in the middle. Is this what you mean by staying the same? You really came right out of your mouth. Even ghosts lie. No need to pretend, I saw you pinched my incense, split open my coffin, and destroyed my home. You deserve to die. The little boy finally couldn't bear it anymore. Under the bloody longevity clothes, corpse water continued to seep out of the blood holes. Just when he was about to give Shen Jian a hard blow, he found that Shen Jian's expression also became scary. Did you see it? Since you saw it, I can't keep you alive. Little boy. Next moment, Shen Jian strode over. Take back the ghost sickle. He took out a white bone stick and smashed it on his head. Humph, that's it? The closer the distance, the scarier my supernatural power becomes. The little boy was startled at first, then smiled disdainfully. Try what it feels like to take out your own heart. Hey, you made a mistake. You should stand where you are now and then take out your heart. This is wrong. You have to start over. Boom. The words have not yet finished. The morning stick hit him hard. The little boy's head immediately went blank. He endured a blow that was unbelievable for his age. Ah! Screaming. The little boy looked sad and angry. He was obviously the victim, but why was he the one who was beaten? What kind of bad fate had he cultivated in his life to meet such an unreasonable bastard? Don't go too far. This is my home. My grandfather is still at home. If you wake him up, you will die miserably. The little boy became angrier as he thought about it, and roared unwillingly. Oh, you still have a grandpa at home. Shen Jian's eyes flashed. More excited. The fierce ghosts of my grandfather's generation must have a certain understanding of hunting customs and culture. Knocked the little boy unconscious again with a stick. Shen Jian skillfully took out the soul-binding bag and stuffed it inside. This village chief's family is truly a treasure family. A little boy is already a red-clad fierce ghost. So how bad can his grandfather be? He is definitely a red-clothed level ghost. Before the Ghost King was harvested, the red-clad level was already the highest level ghost he could catch. If you let one go, he will wake up at night and slap himself in pain. Be careful, there is an old ghost in this old house. Please pay more attention. Once you see him, remember to notify me as soon as possible. Shen Jian came back and gave serious instructions. Several people opened their mouths. I really want to say that if this little boy made such a shrill scream, if there were other ghosts in the old house, they should have rushed out to attack. There is no movement now, there is only one possibility. The fierce ghost was not sure either. You can only hide in the dark. I didn't dare to come out at all. But in the end, they still nodded in unison. Even the ancient instructor did not offer any further opinions at this time. Followed sincerely. After all, other than his own father, no man in this life would be so desperate to stand in front of them during supernatural events and face all dangers for them. And none of the players present are new. We have seen too many evil people in horror games. They realized something. That is to say, we must not lose our leadership. You can be led by others, but you must not be dominated, because this often means becoming dangerous cannon fodder for others to test. This kind of thing is too common in thriller games. Especially in teams where newcomers and seniors are mixed, this situation is more likely to occur. But Shen Jian is different. His purpose is to take the lead and overcome all dangers for them. This kind of care is something that ordinary dads cannot do. Just like now. Shen Jian was walking through the hall and stopped in front of the main room of the old house. He seemed to be spying on whether there was any movement inside. He is strong and takes the lead. Such an action made everyone feel heartwarming. However, when they noticed the seriousness and even excitement on Shen Jian's face, they fell silent again. There is always an illusion that Shen Jian does not care about them, but cares about Li Gui. At this time, Shen Jian spoke. Knock knock knock. He knocked on the door and said. Is there anyone inside? Is anyone there? The faint voice echoed in the yard. If no one responds, I'm going to come in. Waited for a second. It turns out there is no one, then I really have to come in. 3 times there was no one. Shen Jian did not choose to open the door. Instead, he came to the floor-to-ceiling window and struck hard with the morning stick. The floor-to-ceiling window several meters in front of the yard shattered. Shen Jian walked in. There was no hesitation throughout. It felt like a skilled gangster robbing a ghost business. Why is he so skilled? Before Yama became a player, he specified some shameful side job. Everyone watched. His expression was frozen in place. Behind the door, an old ghost holding a machete, hunched over but with a charming smile on his face also froze. Shen Jian looked over. There was a hint of teasing on his face. It turns out someone is at home. Why are you shouting so much and not saying anything? Are your ears deaf? Friendly greetings from Shen Jian. Old ghost. You became deaf when you stepped on the horse. The corners of his old, wrinkled mouth twitched. Unexpectedly, this person did not follow the routine. Otherwise, if he hides behind the door and waits for this person to come in, he can use the ghost weapon to dismember him with one knife. This ghost sword is a powerful ghost weapon passed down from generation to generation by his Su family. It has the powerful ability to dismember ghosts. Even if it just scratches a wound, the wound will not recover. But soon. He seemed to have thought of something, smiled sinisterly, and took a few steps forward. Not far away, a piece of white ghost wax burned. Under the candlelight, the old man looked terrifying. His eyes were bloody, the sides of his head were empty, and his ears had been cut off. It was as if he had experienced some kind of fierce fighting. The old ghost turned his head and pointed at his ear. As if to say, "You are right, I am indeed deaf." Such a scene. No matter how you look at it, you can infiltrate people. However, Shen Jian not only showed no fear at all, but nodded clearly. It turns out that he is really humming deaf. Hey, he is also blind. Deaf-mute ghost. At this time, Shen Jian whispered again, "Deaf man, can you really not see or hear?" The old man shook his head. "Means I really can't hear it? That's good." Shen Jian showed a strange look in his eyes. Then he looked inside the house and looked at the old house. Compared with the front yard, there are also vermilion coffins placed here, but instead of one, there are many coffins, displayed in rows in the room. Locations from small to large. The smallest coffin can only hold a baby, then children, teenagers, young people, middle-aged people, old people. Sort in order. And above the coffin, a large word sacrifice was affixed to the coffin. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Sacrifice, sacrifice, are these all sacrifices prepared for the river god? But according to the wishes of the folk woman ghost, it is enough to prepare only one ghost baby for the river god festival. After sacrificing so many adults, what is the old man going to do? But that's okay. These are all his. Shen Jian smiled broadly. Because these coffins contain fierce ghosts. Didn't think too much about it? Shen Jian walked over directly, picked up a coffin and left. He seemed to be trying to steal something from the deaf-mute old man's house right in front of him. Deaf-mute ghost? So blatant, right? Do you really think he is blind? He stayed for a moment. Are you the one who is blind? I shook my head at that time. Can you not see? While thinking. When Shen Jian walked past him carrying the coffin, he kicked him away and cursed, "You blind man, get away." Deaf-mute ghost. He was furious. This thief really has no sympathy or quality at all. When Shen Jian started to move the second coffin, the deaf-mute ghost had disappeared through the door. By the light of the candle, Shen Jian saw that the other party was approaching step by step. The machete in his hand was already clenched tightly. And looked at him with a malicious look, like a mouthful of old phlegm stuck in the throat. A hoarse voice said sharply, "Stop pretending, human being, since you dare to steal from my house, you should bear the consequences of doing so. Kill me you, our old Su family will accept the first place in this hunting competition." Shen Jian's lips curled up. "Is it just you? Haha, human being, do you think that just because you captured my grandson, you can make me surrender? That's ridiculous. I came back from a fight in the ghost town. You see these marks, right? They are all proof that I am in control of the ghost town. And this gun ghost sword, this is a relic of a ghost king, and if I use it to kill you, it can be regarded as a favor to you." Shen Jian's smile became even brighter. Interested. Cooperating. Oh, an ordinary ghost weapon also wants to kill me. Ignorant humans. The deaf-mute ghost smiled sinisterly. "This ghost knife can cut off everything it sees. Do you know what I saw? The thread of your fate is shining brightly. I only need to cut it off gently, and you will be dead, completely dead. Now, meet your death." The deaf-mute ghost kept shouting. His words kept echoing in my ears. Cut it off with one knife. A supernatural feeling appeared out of thin air and filled the whole place. There seemed to be a sense of fragmentation in the whole room. Haha, I don't know whether to live or die. The deaf-mute ghost showed a victor's sinister smile and gasped. The arm was even torn apart. It seems that using this ghost knife, he also has to bear a certain price. But it was worth it to kill this human being. His condition is no longer there. Although he retains the yin-chi of this top red shirt level, due to some changes, the supernatural being can no longer be used. Only this ghost sword can completely kill this human being. However, when he looked up, his face was completely confused. Shen Jian was seen slowly lowering his head. His expression turned sinister and terrifying. Haha, I tried so hard to disguise my identity, but you actually destroyed it. Shen Jian looked up. The six infinite, ghost eyes on the back of his hand lighted up at the same time. The sky was dyed blood red. In that case, I won't pretend anymore. I'm showing my cards right. I'm a ghost too, and ghosts can't be killed. Deaf-mute ghost. He was confused. He had imagined countless possibilities, beheading him with a knife, having a life-saving tool and barely surviving, then trying to kill him again, using a life-saving tool, and then kneeling down to beg for mercy, begging him to accept him as a ghost servant. 3 possibilities. He alone did not think of it. The other party turned out to be fine. He also said that he was also a ghost. Gods and ghosts cannot be killed. Even if they are hit by my ghost sword, they will be dismembered. There's nothing wrong with you. Just pretending to be crazy. You don't believe it? I'm really a ghost. Otherwise, how could I be fine? Shen's figure flashed. His hand had already been placed on the deaf-mute ghost's vague shoulder, and his tone was faint. Do you want to stab me again to verify this possibility? Deaf-mute ghost. His scalp felt numb. It was clear that he was a ghost, but at this moment he actually felt an emotion called horror. This is clearly a pitiful expression that only humans can show. This human being. What on earth is going on? No. Little baby, no, brother, listen to me. The deaf-mute ghost tried to explain. Shen Jian had already laughed strangely. No need to explain, my Ligui identity has been exposed. If I keep you, there will only be one more person who knows my identity. Only if you die will my secrets not be revealed. Finished. Ah! The exact same scream sounded again. The players outside were frightened. A moment of silence for the evil spirits inside. Ghosts scare people and ghosts kill people. Naturally, that person can also scare ghosts and kill ghosts. However, they have only seen one case of this kind of thing so far. Maybe it's the only case. Inside the house, the deaf-mute ghost was kneeling. Shen Jian sat on a coffin and said condescendingly, now you can tell me, have you been to a ghost town? Of course, I entered and exited 7 times, killing through a street. These marks were left by my fighting. The deaf-mute ghost was still bragging, but Shen Jian's eyes had become sharp. Deaf-mute ghost. Okay, I admit it, I was the one who was caught under the armpit when my ancestors went in and out 7 times. Shen Jian nodded with satisfaction. If this group of people could enter and leave the ghost town 7 times, he would be suspicious of this ghost town and that ghost town. That ancestor of yours is the Ghost King? Where is he now? Have no idea. I really don't know. The deaf-mute ghost covered his face, fearing that Shen Jian would drop the stick again, and said quickly, the ancestors were galloping in the ghost town back then, and then for some unknown reason, there seemed to be some kind of change in the ghost town, which caused some of the evil ghosts came out of the ghost city, and my ancestor was one of them. He placed me near Sujia village and asked me to sacrifice the village to the river god when the time was right. This ghost knife was also left by our ancestors. It was said that if the river god disobeys her, he can selectively dismember her. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Something happened in the ghost town, he believed it. Otherwise, how could the spirit-calling ghosts summon the evil ghosts in the ghost town, and how could the amnesiac ghosts come out of the ghost town? All this shows that some major changes have occurred in the ghost town. Where is the ghost town? I don't know. After the accident occurred in the ghost town, it completely disappeared into the ghost realm. Ah, don't fight, don't fight. Our ancestors have left several classics. There may be clues there. You'd better find them out, otherwise I won't have to wait to sacrifice them to the river god. I'll catch you all first. Shen Jian kicked him viciously. Taking the ghost knife, he walked outside. In the river god festival, sacrifices are not made to individuals, but to the entire village. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 207. Just when Shen Jian walked out of the old house, the scarlet panel emerged. The top is bright red, which is an ominous omen. Main mission: completely participate in the first 7 and understand the truth behind the first 7, completed. Congratulations to the player for starting the second phase of the mission. The main mission has been activated. Main mission 2, prevent the river god from resurrecting. Note, this task cannot be refused. The player has accepted the mission. Wish players good luck. Shen Jian glanced at it. A sneer appeared on his face. Previously, the 3 ghost kings were unable to kill him, and now they have revived the river god. This thrilling game has more and more tricks. Although it was his own wish to enter this instance, the horror game had a way of making it impossible for him to refuse. It seems that the thriller game needs to be given a serious try. Otherwise, although he didn't care about the intrigues and even wished for more, he hated this kind of interference beyond his authority. Yamluo, how's it going? As Shen Jian came out, all the players looked a little in awe. He used his supernatural power continuously in a short period of time to completely suppress the 2 red-clad ghosts. The terror level of one of them has even reached the top red level. With this strength, even among 4-star players, they are among the best. It has even reached the threshold of 5-star players. Currently, there is not a single 5-star player in the country. There is none abroad, and there is none domestically. City leaders are already the ceiling in the country. In other words, this great god is probably the #1 supernatural person in the country. Think of this. Everyone's expressions changed. The idea of hugging their thighs became stronger before, but compared to the previous casualness, they now felt a little in awe, and when they looked at Shen Jian, they also became a little restrained. On the field, only Instructor Gu was not surprised. The information about Shen Jian's suspicion of being the city god of the underworld has been permanently sealed, and the country knows less than it can count. He is one of them. A god of the underworld, a city god who is relatively famous and has a relatively low position. If he can't deal with a few red-clothed ghosts, then he will doubt the authenticity of Shen Jian's identity. Now, no one knows how many layers of this strength have been uncovered. The only one who knows this is Shen Jian himself. Yanluo, I just saw that the mission has been completed, but the strange thing is that we were not teleported out immediately, but stayed here. The game panel has lost its function except for prompts. The ancient instructor explained the information he had just received one by one. Shen Jian was slightly startled. I immediately understood that this was another horror game. This strengthened Shen Jian's desire to warn the other party. It doesn't matter, come with me, kill everyone here, and then you can leave naturally. Shen Jian turned and left. The quiet sound blew like the wind from hell. So creepy. Everyone on the field was stunned. Lord Yama is going to kill all the evil ghosts here? Is this really possible? Single-handedly suppressed a ghost village. Is this really possible? But for some reason, when they heard Shen Jian's voice, a thought flashed through their hearts: what if? What if this is really done? Crazy. This is absolutely crazy. The words just fell. At the door of the house, a man, a woman, and two children walked in. The boy was 7 or 8 years old, and the girl was 3 or 4 years old. They were both wearing a shroud, with blood stains on their hands and mouth, and the yin energy they exuded was terrifying. These are actually two red-clothed level fierce ghosts. At this time, they were staring at the player who had just walked out of the yard with a pair of grey eyes and a sneer on their faces. Soon, another figure rushed in from outside the door. It was a woman. Half of her face was sunken in, as if she had suffered some heavy blow during her lifetime. After the woman, a man also walked in. His chest was empty, and it looked like his internal organs had been taken out by something. At last, it was a lame old man with a sallow face and yellow teeth. Without exception, these 5 fierce ghosts all exude extremely strong yin qi. Red level. It's the red level again. Especially the lame old man who came in last was actually a top red coat. 5 red-clad fierce ghosts appeared together. All players were shocked. Just after taking care of 2 red ones, 5 more came. What the hell is the Samsung copy of? He, a thief broke into this place. The lame old man showed his yellow teeth and spoke in a sinister tone. Kill them. Everyone prettier than me deserves to die. Hey, I want to eat meat, I want to eat meat. Except for the lame old man, the other 4 ghosts roared viciously. The crazy words contained some kind of curse and supernatural power, which had a subtle influence on several people. However, at this time, a more eerie voice sounded from deep in the courtyard. Tisk, I'm so damn obsessive compulsive, why can't you two look exactly the same? Why are there such standards as tall, short, fat, and thin? Everyone should look exactly the same height, short, fat, and thin. The world should not be like this. I must correct you. Instructor Gu and his group. That's a bit outrageous. You made us think you were mentally ill. 5 ghosts. What's the situation? Where did the madness come from? No matter how obsessive-compulsive you are, you can overcome the tribulation and ascend. The 5 fierce ghosts were just slightly stunned. Immediately afterwards, an astonishing yin energy emanated from the whole body, locking onto the living person who walked out with a long knife in his hand. Then with a penetrating expression on his face, he walked forward step by step. There are too many sacrifices to the river god. If you want to stand out, you must embellish. And human beings are undoubtedly the best embellishments. They were still wondering where the group of humans had gone, but they didn't expect that they would be delivered to their door. At this time, the figure in the dark night finally came out. A young man wearing a white trench coat, holding an ancient long knife, had an excited look on his face. 5 red-clothed ones, plus an old man and a young man from the old house, the village chief and his family are all red-clothed members. The 2 old men are even top-notch red-shirt men. A truly treasured family. And this does not include close and distant relatives of the village chief's family, etc. After all, with only 5 fierce ghosts, even the red-clothed level cannot control the entire Sujia village in a short period of time. There is more hidden in Sujia village. This wave is over. The 13th level of hell is unlocked. Did you see the thread of death shining behind you? Shen Jian laughed strangely. Hold the ghost knife in the water with your backhand. In a trance, everything in front of him changed. Each of the 5 fierce ghosts has a black line hanging above their heads. The 2 children are smaller, followed by the woman, then the man, and finally the lame old man. The opponent's black line is as thick as a bucket. It gives people the illusion that even if it hits, nothing will happen. This is the sense of delusion caused by the huge difference in strength. But Shen Jian didn't. He raised the ghost sword. He slashed towards the top of the man's head, whose chest was empty. It was obviously hitting the air, but it gave Shen Jian the feeling of hitting something real. The black line was cut. The man with an empty chest fell down and his body became stiff. 4 ghosts. Their eyes widened. Is that, eldest brother's ghost sword? What did you do to eldest brother and my eldest grandson? The sharp-eyed lame village chief recognized the origin of the ancient sword at a glance. His expression changed drastically. Don't worry, the deceased was not injured. Shen Jian said casually. The lame old man was stunned for a long time. The deceased was not injured. Even the ghost sword passed down from generation to generation in the Su family was taken away. There is no need to explain how the battle went. Especially this ghost knife, it is extremely terrifying. Don't panic, that ghost sword comes with a very strong curse. This human being has used it to its limit. I'm afraid his sword-holding arm has been scrapped. Kill him and take it back. Thump. A second victim emerges. It's that woman. Her body fell down with the same sound, right next to the man. What did you just say? I'm giving you a chance to reword it? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Lame village chief. No, why are you okay? You are so cheating. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 208. In the sound of heavy footsteps, the tall figure slowly approached. The ancient long knife in his hand was obviously not stained with blood, but it gave people an oppressive feeling shrouded in the shadow of death. Watch this scene. The lame old man's eyes widened. Why? Why is that human okay? The ghost sword has a very strong curse effect. If you just pick it up, nothing will happen. However, if you use the ghost sword to hit a dead line that cannot be directly seen, while the enemy is dismembered, you will also be eroded by the curse. Those who are weak will lose half their lives. Even if he is as strong as the top red warrior, he still has to lose one of his hands. And this kind of supernatural erosion cannot be recovered in a short time. But this human being didn't look like anything was wrong. Can he strike again? Once this pervasive thought appears in my mind, I can't get it out of my mind. The lame village chief shuddered hard. Limping, retreating quickly. At the same time, he shouted, "My dear grandpa." Grandpa suddenly remembered something. Stop him here first. Grandpa will come back as soon as he goes. Hear this. The confused boy and the girl looked confused. Stopped in front of Shen Jian. Yes, yes, stop him, there is absolutely no way he will use the third knife. The lame village chief showed his big yellow teeth and growled with joy on his face. What a touching relationship between grandfather and grandson. Your grandfather abandoned you, but you still never leave. I have to say, uncle, I am very touched. Shen Jian stopped. Saw this scene. The ancient instructor and his group in the distance looked worried and hesitated to speak. Lord Yama, your holy mother heart will not explode, so be prepared to let them go. This idea is unacceptable. But as the protected party, they are not qualified to make decisions for Shen Jian. I just hope that Lord Yama can harden his heart. Everyone is thinking. Shen Jian has spoken again. Well, uncle has decided to give you a reward, and you can choose your favorite way to die. Everyone. Draw a 6 with one hand. The boys and girls also look stiff. God chooses a way to die that he likes. Give this reward to whomever you like, don't give it to us. Can't bear it. If possible, we don't want to die. Shen Jian continued, the conditions are valid. I will only give you 3 rewards, the sickle, the machete, and the big gun. Come on, choose and seize the rewards in front of you. Shen Jian placed the ghost sickle, ghost sword, and Rakshasa spear in front of him in turn, urging the two of them to make a quick choice. Hurry up, uncle will rush to catch your grandpa later and send that old guy to accompany you. Shen Jian finished. The three weapons erupted with terrifying supernatural power at the same time. Coupled with the power he had brought by dismembering two red-clad devils one after another, a strong sense of oppression formed at this moment. The longevity clothes on the two ghosts shook, and strong resentment filled the air. His pale face became more and more gloomy. At last, they finally seemed unable to bear the pressure. A twist. He also escaped. If you don't choose, the reward will be forfeited. Shen Jian's demonic voice brushed against their ears. Two ghosts. They were startled. Turn around and look. Two bone sticks, one black and one white, hit their heads at the same time. Thump. Two more red-clad ghosts fell down. Plus the two at the door. In just 2 minutes, the 5 red-clad fierce ghosts that attacked were almost wiped out. All the players watching were in awe. Although they knew that Shen Jian was very strong, they only speculated that he could rival Hong Yi. But now, 2 knives dismembered 2 red clothes. Knock out 2 red clothes with 2 sticks. Scare away a top red coat. No one, even the Ghost King, would doubt this strength. While thinking, on Shen's body, 6 scarlet eyes opened at the same time. A flash of red light. Disappear in place. Next moment, he appeared in front of the lame village chief and blocked his retreat. Although the ghost eye is very awkward, the ghost realm cannot collide with other ghosts, and there is no real murderous supernatural power, but in terms of movement, he has never seen a ghost realm larger than the ghost eye. Under the cover of the ghost realm, 3,000 meters are under his control. Even if the lame old man ran away like this, he could not escape from his grasp. Haha, old man, why are you running? Shen Jian smiled eerily. I am a famous quack doctor from all over the country. I can cure any difficult and complicated diseases. Aren't your legs lame? I can help you. Lame old man. He swore that he had never encountered such a terrifying human being in his life. How can you treat it? Can I hear the treatment plan? The lame old man retreated, sweating profusely. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. He seemed to be thinking seriously about the treatment. Okay, isn't your leg lame? Then I'll break it off for you and replace it with a new one. What do you think? Lame old man. He opened his mouth, but he didn't know whether to say something or not. You are a self-proclaimed doctor, right? Otherwise, with your medical skills, even a quack would be considered good. Wrong. Only then did the lame old man react. What the other person said seemed to be a quack. Lame ghost. Seeing Shen Jian approaching step by step, he was frightened and undecided. Little brother, there is no medical condition here. How about we treat it next time? Shen Jian stopped. It seems so. Other conditions can be overcome, but the lack of anesthesia is indeed a bit troublesome. Mumbling something. Then he raised his head and said, well, I have 2 plans now. The first is to knock you out with this hammer, and the second is to knock you out with this stick. You can make do with it and choose an anesthetic plan. Lame old man. This, what if someone dies? This time. Shen Jian spread his hands and said, what does that have to do with me? The operation was successful. If you can't wake up, it's because the patient didn't do his best. Grass. You really deserve to be called a quack. Little doll, don't do anything to your heart's content. Are you forcing me to die now? Seeing that Shen Jian was determined to kill him, the lame old man's tone became gloomy. The terrifying yin chi belonging to the top red-clad ghost spreads. That's right. Shen Jian nodded seriously. Lame ghost. He admitted it? This cub actually admitted it? The lame old man looked around and found that he was alone at this moment. An unspeakable sadness welled up. And at this time, Shen Jian had already taken out the skull-crushing hammer. He hit the lame ghost hard on the face. He fled in a hurry, but under the cover of the ghost domain of the ghost eyes, his so-called escape was simply staying in place. He could only watch helplessly as the heavy hammer hit his head. Ah! Stuff the body into a sack. Shen Jian's eyes sparkled. The excitement in his eyes could hardly be concealed. There are 400 to 500 fierce ghosts in a village. Even if most of them are white-clothed level, quantity can overwhelm quality. Help him unlock the 13th level of hell. According to the model of 3 levels of hell, rewards can be unlocked once. On the 15th floor of hell, he was able to unlock another Yama Palace. He had a gut feeling. After all 18 levels of hell are unlocked, he may be able to fully possess all the authority of the 10 palaces of Yama. By the time, he will no longer be the king of hell, but the real lord of the underworld. Under Ghostland Mobile. Shen Jian arrived at the ancestral hall soon. The ancestral hall is built on the edge of a cliff. Below is a lake. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. Opened the door of the ancestral hall. Just entered. In the darkness, countless pairs of eyes looked straight over. It was a strange figure standing on the same spot. Shen Jian looked over. The entire ancestral hall is very large inside. One after another, the fierce ghosts knelt down and worshipped Xiao Luhi. These fierce ghosts are all wearing shrouds. There are blue and white patterned shrouds, there are green-orange shrouds, and there are red patterned shrouds. And Sunuan looked at the fierce ghosts everywhere and couldn't help but take a breath. There are only more than 200 households in Sujia village. The total population is between 400 and 500. There were no less than 100 people standing in this ancestral hall. In other words, a quarter of the villagers participated in this river god ceremony. And prepared to sacrifice the remaining 3/4. The ghost stared directly at Shen Jian. It's like looking at a dead person. However, next moment, they were all stunned for a moment. Because Shen Jian took out a different shroud from his body. This shroud is black. Different from everyone present. Shen Jian took it off the lame village chief. He found that this shroud, like paper clothing, had a good effect of resisting supernatural powers. Based on the principle that the deceased is the most important, he took it off and kept it for collection. Put on the shroud. Shen Jian said familiarly, brothers, you are one of our own, don't shoot. Not to mention, this shroud is quite cool to wear. Where was it ordered? Shroud ghost. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 209. Inside the ancestral hall. Seeing the human being wearing the shroud representing the identity of the village chief, the eyes of all the ghost villagers changed. He looked at Shen Jian with faint eyes. No wonder the village chief took so long, he turned out to be killed. But that's okay. Without the village chief, there is only one less festival host. It has no impact on this ceremony. Seeing that these villagers were indifferent, Shen Jian also said, why are you looking at me like this? I just took a piece of clothing. I picked this up. Do you still want to collect money? It is said that the more remote the place, the more simple the folk customs are. I advise you not to be blinded by interests. Shen Jian was wearing a black shroud and took out a black mourning stick. He looked like a bully and a bandit entering the village. I, Shen, picked up the clothes based on my ability. If anyone wants to return them to their original owners, don't blame me for not giving them face. A group of villagers in shrouds just stared at him with sinister eyes. There was a bit of joking in his eyes. This black shroud is not just for anyone to wear. Why is this black shroud worn on the lame village chief? Not only because the lame old man is the village chief, but the main reason is that this black shroud can only be worn by the top red-clad ghosts. If others put it on, they will be eroded by the supernatural power of the shroud. Eventually died a violent death. Do humans really think this black shroud is a good thing? They were prepared to see how this human would die later. A minute passed. 3 minutes passed. 5 minutes passed. Shroud villagers. They were stunned. Is this human being so cruel? After experiencing the effect of the shroud for a few minutes, Shen Jian was slightly happy. Although the effect of this shroud was not as powerful as the paper suit worn by the principal of Blood Moon High School, it was still 30% supernatural. It is enough to withstand the supernatural attacks of ghosts below the red level. If he were to live in the underworld, he would probably be robbed by ghost controllers all over the country. There are more than 100 such shrouds here. Even if the effect is weakened, it is still a first-class life-saving prop. Nice one. Whether it is used as a reward for a living person or as a trap on a ghost, it is always worth the money. Shen Jian's eyes gradually brightened. He looked at the group of villagers in shrouds and said with a sinister smile, "Since you don't say anything, I'll start by throwing some light. As for me, I like traditional clothes very much, especially shrouds. However, this one is a bit monotonous. Villagers brothers, you guys shouldn't mind donating your shrouds." His impatient look once again shocked a group of villagers. God loves shrouds so much. Who would like the clothes worn by the dead? No one wants to. Shen Jian waited for a while, and when no one came forward, he smiled even more happily. Then I have to grab it myself. Hey, I'm here to get it. If you have the ability, come and try. We have about 100 people here. At this time, a villager wearing a half-length red striped shroud came out. Looking at Shen Jian full of resentment. Who are you? Shen Jian ignored it. The smile on his face became even wider. A wave of his hand. Roads of netherworld energy surged out. In the dark fog, out came ghosts with numb expressions and empty eyes, wearing the robes of sinister officials. Among these ghosts, the lowest is King II level. There are also more than 20 red level ones. Among them was a tall and burly figure with black horns. That's the Ghost King. Niuli Ghost King. Looking at this scene, the resentment on Sudeqiang's face disappeared. His expression became stiff and horrified. 34 green-clad warriors, 23 red-robed warriors, and a Ghost King. How can you use this kind of lineup to deal with our remote village? Brother, you are playing. This moment, all the villagers in Shroud panicked. The energy displayed by Shen Jian was really too great. Wave a wave. A force that can destroy Sujia village appears. Especially that Ghost King, the supernatural fluctuations are too obvious. It was as if the words Ghost King were carved on his forehead. Driving a Ghost King is really unimaginable at their level. Come on, help me stop these stingy villagers and take off their shrouds. Don't do too much, it will hurt your eyes. Shen Jian said in as much detail as possible. A smile appeared on his lips. That smile fell on a group of villagers, looking particularly charming. Grass. You are so inhuman. The words fell. A group of ghosts seemed to be in a deserted place. The Shroud villagers in the ancestral hall suddenly became a mess. Shen Jian grinned. He also rushed forward. The villagers took off their shrouds, revealing their pale bodies. There was a female ghost who couldn't bear the humiliation and took action to resist. Shen Jian walked over and said viciously, "They say that the villagers of the Su family are simple and honest, but now it seems that they are all exaggerated. I just wanted to grab some clothes, but you actually wanted to kill me. It is unforgivable. Please wait for your family, I'll die with you. Finished. Shen Jian grabbed the female ghost by the neck, picked her up, looked around, and said coldly, "Who is her family? Come forward." Among the ghosts, several figures came out. Slowly surrounded Shen Jian. Sudeqiang is also among them. "Everyone, the one who is arrested now is my wife. The one who is arrested next time may be your relatives. Please cheer up and fight this human being." Sudeqiang roared. Fellows, don't be frightened by that human's deception. These evil spirits he released have no sanity and are a group of enslaved poor guys. Only by working together can we resist this demon." An old man also shouted angrily. "Uncle and aunt, save my mother." A child with a hollow mouth wept and begged. However, these sensational words aroused the fear of more villagers. They would rather have their shrouds stripped off than resist. As for saving ghosts, that is even more nonsense. Some people called for everyone to unite to resist. But most people were silent and chose to watch indifferently. The other side. No one responded. Sudeqiang was so angry that his whole body was shaking. Stupid, do you think he will let you go if you don't take action? Have you seen those same kind of people who are unconscious? If we don't resist today, this will be our result tomorrow. Our Sujia village will cut off our descendants. Sudeqiang is still trying to awaken the villagers' sense of resistance. "Okay, you bitch," Shen Jian said with some dissatisfaction, "you are addicted to scolding me even if you ignore me, right? I am the savior of Sujia village. How can I be evaluated by an evil spirit like you with evil intentions? You must be her family. Since you mentioned ghost missions, I will grant you permission." The words fell. A large amount of black energy surged out of Shen Jian's hands. The female ghost who was being strangled struggled for a few seconds before she gave up her resistance completely, and her eyes became hollow and lifeless. "No, wife." Sudeqiang's eyes were red. "We are so loving, let's go together." Shen Jian's voice came from behind the other party at the same time, and he held down his big palm fan. After a while, Sudeqiang was also transformed into a ghost. The remaining old men and children were even less able to resist. They were transformed into ghosts one by Shen Jian. The power of ghosts and gods of King Chujiang was so overbearing. Even the top red-shirt ones cannot escape the fate of being transformed into ghosts as long as they are caught by him. However, this approach is obviously wasteful. After all, as long as the fierce ghosts transformed into ghosts have the sanity to obey orders and the instinct to launch supernatural attacks, their overall strength is actually reduced. But who makes the underworld lack talents today? Even if they are just ghost servants who follow orders, they will also improve the overall planning of the underworld. Do it all. Shen Jian looked around at the villagers who were trying to escape, but were stopped by a group of ghosts. He grinned and smiled kindly, "Don't be afraid, don't be nervous. After my sincere persuasion, these people have abandoned the dark side and returned to the bright side. Zhengtu, join my warm and harmonious family." Shroud villager. "Damn you, you're lying. You really don't need to draft. As if we were all blind. Sudeqiang's family has clearly been harmed by you. How could you have the nerve to say such nonsense?" The faces of a group of villagers in shrouds became increasingly pale. They wanted to run, but were stopped by a group of mindless ghosts who only followed orders. And that human being who made everyone fearful was slowly approaching them with a smile on his face. He was also talking about words like warmth and harmony and big family. But after thinking about it, they only heard two words in the whole article: cannibalism. Just then, a red-clad fierce ghost stood up. "This cannot continue like this. That human being is determined to kill us. Even if he takes off his shroud, it will only delay the time of death. This tall and powerful ghost wearing a red striped shroud seemed to be extremely prestigious. As soon as his words came out, many villagers who were still hesitating strengthened their determination. Yes, everyone has seen the results of Sudekyang's family. The human being is not only interested in the shroud, he is also interested in us. Those ghosts are also under his command. We can't escape. The only chance is to kill him, kill this human being, so we can survive. Voices of resistance arose one after another. Shen Jian's dangerous eyes were focused on the open-mouthed red-striped shroud ghost. Old man, how old are you? You are still instigating others to commit crimes. This idea of yours is too dangerous. Let's do this. Not only will your family and you if you die, your in-laws will die, your neighbors from all over the country will die, and the ant nest in front of your house will have to be doused with boiling water. The red-striped devil. Grass. The 10 clans are implicated, right? Shen Jian said indifferently. Who are his family members, in-laws, and neighbors? This time, no one dared to reply. The place fell into dead silence. Don't even say yes. Shen Jian took out the ghost knife. Everything started to change. On the head of the red-striped fierce ghost, a black line as thick as a thumb gradually became clear. As Shen Jian increases the supernatural effect, this black line actually started to spread. Like a spider web, it spreads farther away, connecting the ghosts one by one. Those are clearly the number of people whose genealogy is related to the red-striped ghost. I give everyone, including family members, the whistleblower, one last chance to survive. If no one comes forward to identify him, then, everyone will die together. Shen Jian's voice was like the wind from hell. It made all the ghosts' hearts tremble. But as long as they don't say it, how could a human know the complicated and intertwined genealogy of Sujia village? Every ghost is lucky. See this. Shen Jian followed the vague traces of the ghost sword and spread the supernatural terror to all his relationships. This knife. He clearly planned to kill all the 10 other clans. It's not just a means, but also a provocation to thriller games. If the other party wants him to forcefully take over the game mission, then don't blame him for playing the 10 clans match game. The moment he held the ghost sword, Shen Jian's arm suddenly expanded. He ignored it. Cut it out with one knife. A large area of dead thread was cut directly in the flash. Inside the ancestral hall, more than 80 ghosts fell at once. Unfortunately, the only onlookers to this shocking scene were a group of Shroud villagers who were so frightened that they collapsed to the ground. Otherwise, the whole world will be in an uproar. The world of horror is in turmoil. With the help of supernatural attacks, more than 80 ghosts were dismembered at one time. This has exceeded the ultimate ability of the Ghost King. I'm afraid it would take a legendary ghost or god to do such a thing. So many, it seems he has a good relationship. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. He raised his eyebrows. Dismembering more than 80 ghosts at once, the resistance encountered is not ordinary. It's a pity that no matter how great the supernatural power is, it is as brittle as thin paper when the power of King Yama is weakened. In addition, he holds the position of the 4 kings of hell. If he cannot even do this, it will be a disgrace to the underworld. Shen Jian's tone returned to its previous casual tone. Come on, fellow villagers, I can't wait for you to join my warm and harmonious family. Out of the ancestral hall, Shen Jian was covered in blood. A look of satisfaction. It has obviously been successful in getting these Shroud villagers to join the big family. And he also found hundreds of coffins in the ancestral hall. There are many fierce ghosts inside. They are all villagers from Sujia village. Stable. The 13th level of hell can be unlocked. Out of the ancestral hall, Shen Jian stood on the edge of the cliff. He looked down at Xiao Luhi at his feet. It's very wide, about 180 meters. Looking over, it was pitch black, the water was bottomless, a gloomy wind blew by, and the waves crashed against the shore with a loud sound. In how many days will the river god festival be held? Shenjian asked. 2 days later. Will the river goddess appear then? Uncertain. Shenjian was stunned. Look at the ghost ant. A long time ago, I heard the elders in the village say that the river goddess will indeed appear every time during the river god festival. However, in the past 10 years, the river goddess has not appeared for a long time. Those who appear are the new river gods, that is, the river gods. The queen's son. Can the river god also get married? This time, Shenjian was really surprised. It was a look of excitement. Ant Ghost was a little confused. How did she find that Shenjian seemed to be even more excited after hearing that the river goddess was suspected of being married? No, the so-called son of the river god should just be a supernatural creature. He is called this name just because he is a supernatural creature created by the river goddess. So, Shenjian was a little disappointed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 210. Return to your residence. Shenjian did not forget business. The biggest gain from this trip to Sujia village was undoubtedly the capture of all the villagers in Sujia village, and the number of ghosts sufficient to unlock the 13th level of hell. The second harvest is naturally the deaf-mute ghost's ghost knife. The actual effect of this ghost knife is not that outstanding. It is at best a torture. Once the enemy's terror level exceeds too much, the user himself cannot cut off the dead line. But he couldn't stand it. Shenjian's own status was high enough. With the blessing of his ability, the ghost sword has a new supernatural power. The 10 tribes are happy. It can barely be regarded as an underworld weapon of yin difference level. And this is the third harvest. That was what concerned Shenjian the most. Yamluo, you are here. The evil ghost has been staying in the old house and has not left even half a step. But just now, he kept shouting that something was found. I finally found it. The ancient instructor spoke. Shenjian looked happy. Entered the old house. I heard you found clues about the ghost town. Shenjian asked. The deaf-mute old ghost danced with excitement, pulled out a parchment, and said conclusively, yes, there are indeed clues about the ghost town in the things left by our ancestors. Where? Mass graves. Hear the name. Shenjian was slightly startled. Mass grave, this seems to be the location of the flesh-seeing ghost mentioned by the noble wife of the Niuli Ghost King. But this place is not in Nanjiang district. In addition, the flesh-seeing ghost is still immature. He didn't pay too much attention. But if the ghost town is there too, that's a different matter. Tell me more about it. The deaf-mute ghost explained, the ancestor once left a passage in the parchment, saying that if he did not come back before the blood sacrifice in Sujia village, then based on the location above, he would go to the ghost city to find a ghost king and tell his story. Tell that ghost king, and according to the map above, the place where my ancestors asked me to go happens to be near the mass grave. Shenjian was thoughtful. The ancestor of the Su family had obviously anticipated everything, and even made such backup preparations in advance. Do you know where the mass graves are? The deaf-mute old ghost was shocked. Of course I know, this is a famous and dangerous place in Donglan district, and it is also a place where ghosts are raised. It is said to be an ancient battlefield, filled with unimaginable resentment and supernatural power. Not 1 out of 10 is terrible. And I heard that it is ruled by an abyss-level ghost. Any ghost who enters will eventually lose his life. Shenjian narrowed his eyes slightly. Winterland area. The bloody paper shop seems to be over there. According to the game system prompts, the moment he steps into the Winterland area, a copy of the bloody paper shop will be automatically triggered and he will enter this 4-star supernatural place. Is there anything else? Shen Jian's fingers tapped on the table unconsciously. Judging from the current situation, he must go to Donglan district. But before going, he had to solve the problem of the bloody paper shop. Yes, according to the time calculation, you must go to the mass graves in 50 days before you can truly touch the ghost city. The ghost realm that protects the ghost city will also reappear in the horror world during that time. The tapping sound stopped. 50 days, which is 1.5 months. In other words, he can't take more than a month to solve the bloody paper shop. After all, no one knows how long the 4-star dungeon will last. If you stay too long and miss the entry time to the ghost town, you will be really dumbfounded. Sir, is there anything else? Finished in one breath. The deaf-mute ghost's ugly face sneered. He didn't want to get close to this human being for a moment. I desperately want to leave here, tell others to stop the blood sacrifice, and wait until this demon is gone. Have. Shen Jian stood up. She originally wanted to put her hand on his shoulder, but looking at her hand that had just taken a shower, and then at the deaf-mute ghost with blurred shoulders, Shen Jian slapped him after a moment of silence. To show kindness. Deaf-mute old ghost? Is this how you express your gratitude? Who taught you? Let him stand up and see if I can kill the old man. He covered his face and looked at Shen Jian with shame. Do you know what your cousin did? Shen Jian asked. Deqiang? What happened to him? The deaf-mute ghost made a sound in his heart. Sudeqiang was assigned to guard the ancestral hall. Has the human in front of him already been to the ancestral hall? It has nothing to do with him, but his wife once tried to kill me when I tried to take off her clothes, so I told him and his family to die together. Now that I think about it, you seem to be a member of this big family. Deaf-mute ghost? Etc. He gathered his thoughts. This human tried to take off his sister-in-law's clothes. The sister-in-law showed murderous intent towards him and wanted to kill him, so this human being wanted to kill his entire family. Is this correct to understand? Damn it, the robbers have better logic than you. The deaf-mute ghost's eyes widened. It seems to be saying, why do you have the nerve to say such things? Shen Jian just smiled. He took out the morning stick. That moment, the deaf-mute old ghost seemed to remember something. That man stood on the moral high ground and waved his stick. The sunlight was too dazzling and I couldn't see his face clearly. Last of the last. The deaf-mute old ghost only had time to let out an unwilling roar. Dog, dog thing. Boom. Amidst the loud noise, Shen Jian skillfully stuffed the deaf-mute old ghost into the sack. So far, everyone in Sujia village fell. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 211. The next day. Happy B\U0026B. Instructor Gu greeted him. Yan Luo, according to our investigation, this Xiaoluo river is very long, extending to the depths of the mountains, and we also found several villages where it goes down to the river. Obviously, these villages are all built on the Xiaoluo river. The terrifying thing about the river goddess, I suspect that the other party is a ghost king. Hear this. The crowd stirred up another wave. In the hunting folklore, they encountered a red-clothed ghost that they had never seen before. Now, is it possible that they have to face the ghost king head-on? Too old. Is there any fairness in this damn horror game? A group of 2-star and 3-star players were asked to face the threat of a ghost suspected of being a ghost king. Shen Jian nodded. There is no doubt that the river goddess is a ghost king. And he is also a terrifying ghost king whose level of terror far exceeds that of the corpse king, the 100-eyed ghost king, the girl in paper clothes, and the ghost controlling old man. Even if it doesn't reach the abyss level, I'm afraid it's not much different. Otherwise, how could Thriller Game allow him to take on this task? Just go and take a look and you'll find out. Shen Jian said. Turn around and walk away. The River God Festival is 2 days later. But according to the words of the ghost ant, the river goddess has not appeared in the past 10 years. Xiaoluhi's new river god is a supernatural creature created by the river goddess. If that's the case, then he won't wait any longer. Soon, Shen Jian came to the lower reaches of Xiaoluo River. In the distance, you can see a small village surrounded by mountains and rivers. Shen Jian glanced over. It seems that a river god festival is being held here. The village was decorated with lanterns, red banners, and red flowers. A group of men were still killing and washing pigs there, while women were busy plucking the feathers of chickens and ducks. Let everyone present have the illusion of returning to the real world. But take another look. Some of the men who were being shaved had their heads missing, some had hollow eyes, and some were missing half of their bodies. The women whose hair was being plucked all looked pale and looked strange. The so-called pigs are actually human bones. These are clearly a group of terrifying ghosts. Villagers in this small village downstream also discovered Shen Jian's group of uninvited guests. An old man wearing a shroud walked over, supported by several ghosts who still had complete bodies. He cupped his hands and said politely, "The old man is the head of this village. All of you friends who came from upriver must be distinguished guests. There is a loss and a welcome from afar. As the saying goes, stretch out your hand and don't hit the smiling person." But Shen Jian just glanced at him and said, "Old man, who is your friend?" Hear this. A group of young and middle-aged people looked unhappy and their expressions were distorted. There's still more than a day left before the River God Festival. What do you want to do now? Offer sacrifices in advance. Do you want to establish your presence in front of the River God in advance and let him protect you? Shen Jian spoke again. His eyes became dangerous. The old man's expression changed. These people came from upstream and must be people from Sujia village. Sujia village occupies the best environment in the upper reaches and is the village with the strongest clan power in the Xiaoluo River. Now, there is a bit of intention to raise an army to hold him accountable. In their small village, the strongest one is him, the old village chief in King Ai, who can never stop Sujia village's attack. The old man's body was trembling slightly, as if he was afraid of something. Dear guests, we are also forced to have no choice. Last night, the river god appeared. The ghost baby that was sent as a sacrifice a few years ago suddenly climbed up from Xiaoluhi and asked us to offer 10 female dolls to the river god as wives. If we don't deliver it, he will flood all the surrounding villages on the day of the River God Festival. Old man, I am just a small person, and I know that I cannot destroy the custom of the River God Festival. But the Lord River God personally ordered it, and I dare not disobey it, old man. Hear this. The rest of the people were stunned. This river god really knows how to enjoy it? Do you really think that being called a river god means he is a real god? Even if this river god is a top-notch red-clothed ghost, he would not dare to say that he would kill the surrounding villages. Shen Jian glanced at the village. He focused his attention on a child whose body was white from soaking, his lips were black, and his limbs looked like they were rotting. Seeing Shen Jian's eyes, the little boy immediately turned around and ran away. Shen Jian grabbed the opponent. Without saying a word, he just started talking about a set meal. Water soaker. Stop fanning, if you fan any more, all the water in your stomach will be gone. Did the river god send you here? Shen Jian asked calmly. The water-soaked ghost glanced at the riverside, hesitant on his face. You have to think clearly. If you tell me now, the river god may not know. But if you don't tell me now, I will immediately put you into a complete panic and you will never wake up. Shenjian, the old Shinto. This time. The water-soaked ghost finally nodded. Next moment. Shenjian twisted his head off. The water-soaked ghost turned into a puddle of muddy water. Shenjian was expressionless, not surprised. This is not a bad ghost at all. But a ghost slave? A supernatural creature with the so-called memory of a ghost child. Turned. Shenjian looked towards the Xiaoluo River. Think about it. He took out the morning stick. As the yin qi poured in, it was thrown out by Shenjian. The river exploded into a huge wave. Where is the river god here? Get out of here. You dare to occupy a river without paying the river management fee. Shenjian's voice spread out. The yin energy in the river surges and gathers. A figure wearing a red and black robe slowly emerged from the water, with a stern face, staring at the humans on the shore with a sly expression. Human, what do you want to do? It's nothing. I just want to inform you that it's time to pay the river management fee. Besides, you, the river god, are incompetent. I lost my things. Shouldn't you help me pick them up? Otherwise, what's the use of you, the river god? Quickly, bring me the gold morning stick, the silver morning stick, and the white morning stick. Shenjian took 2 steps forward. With a playful expression, he looked down at the ghost figures on the water. The terrifying level of this river god surpasses the normal level of top red-clothed ones, but is not as good as the most common ghost king. Being able to become a river god, occupy this small Ludo river, and be worshipped by all the evil ghosts. Even the lame old man is in awe of him, so he still has some strength. A supernatural creature, but its supernatural power can reach this level. This also made Shenjian become more and more interested in the river goddess who had the power of the ghost king.